Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Common Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 14th, and the time is 7 p.m. We'll begin with the roll call. Joanne Marcon, our city clerk, can you do the roll?
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here.
Sean McAllister,
Here.
Dan Stevens,
Is present.
Stephen Knott,
Present.
Leanne Stokes.
Here.
Larry Jurassic,
Present.
Diane Wolf. Here.
Thank you very much. Item 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3, the rules of the Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees. This is a harassment-free forum. City council and subcommittee meetings shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, obscene remarks, or threats of violence. Sufficient warnings may be given by the sergeant at arms or the chair at any time during the remarks in the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum. As set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Item 4 is public input. If you would like to address the Common Council this evening, now is the time to do so. Please come up to the podium, begin by stating your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the Common Council this evening? Second call for anyone wishing to address the Common Council this evening. Ward Kyle would like to address the council. Yep, now.
I have a hearing issue. Your
Yep.
Honor.
Okay, so
Not that I've never heard you before, but I mean, I've really had trouble with it.
that's okay.
I'm Ward Kyle. I live at 426 4th Avenue North, number 4. I'm here tonight, I may jump around a little bit. Slightly emotional, but I want to thank some people here. Number one, I love the police department and its chief. Even though I no longer deliver 350 newspapers a night, while I did it, they were tremendous and treated me especially well. Not only were they compassionate, but they also were professional. And Chief, you're to be congratulated on having a department like that. But I really want to thank the fire department and its rescue squad, because just 2 weeks ago, yesterday, I had to use them. And Chief, they were at my house. I think before the phone call went, they were out in front. I had a mini stroke, whatever, hell, that's the way it goes. But they were there. They were very professional. They were very talented. And I can be a real hind end, as most of you probably know. They took care of me in such a way that it was phenomenal. And yeah, I shouldn't be this way, but I am. I'm not used to public speaking. And so I do want to thank, again, the fire chief and all the firemen who are here. I did not catch the names of the 2 rescue people, but they were tremendous, Chief. I'm sure you can find out. It was Monday, October 30th. And today I was also up at the water department, another fabulous employee, Sherry Wilford. I hope this council, and I'm sure you do, and I hope this community recognizes the talent and the kind of people they have working for them. Because this is something, a community of this size. There's bound to be one bad apple. Hell, they told me that in my family. But the community and its employees are to be commended, and employees are to be commended by the community and by this city council. And with that, I will say again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ward, for your kind words. Would anyone else like to address the Common Council this evening? Is there anyone online, Amanda, that would like to address the council? Okay, I'm not seeing or hearing anyone else to provide public input. So we will move on to the report from the mayor. And first, it's my pleasure to welcome Tim Cabot from the La Crosse Area Development Corporation, LADCO, for a brief presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. It's always a pleasure to be back here at the Unalaska City Hall. Thank you. For those that don't know, I'm Tim Cabot with La Crosse Area Development Corporation. I promise to be brief. I've got just a few updates to share with all of you and then would be happy to answer questions or if you've got some homework or some things for me to take away, I'm always happy to do that. Just real quick, there we go, it's working. So one thing I'd like to highlight is that LADCO is part of a very collaborative partnership of public and private entities here in the La Crosse area. And that's really our kind of modus operandi for how we go about economic development in this area. It includes the local municipalities, it includes nonprofits, it includes just a wealth of partners. And I think it's important just to highlight the fact that we really focus in a few areas. So there are a number of different organizations and people a lot of times will ask me, what's the difference between the Chamber or LADCO or Downtown Main Street? And even though we're sister or brother organizations and fellow nonprofits, we all do a little bit different and focus in a little bit different areas. So LADCO's focus is really on real estate solutions in business retention and expansion and attraction in trying to market our area for folks that are looking for especially on the location side, looking for places where they want to either start or expand a business. We do focus on growing our own. So that's part of what I tried to share with you with the slides is that we build relationships with the existing businesses, large and small and in between, and really try to find out from them what their future, what their challenges, what their strengths and opportunities are, so that if there is a possibility of an expansion or a real estate solution, that we can help connect them. And our biggest role really is as a matchmaker. We try to connect those businesses with resources, with property owners, with municipalities and industrial parks and the like. You can see here a slide that just showcases a number of our partners, nonprofits and others, and you can see there's a wide variety. They all do different things, from business planning assistance to financing to educational programs, helping businesses write business plans, helping them to find financing for a facility or an expansion, buying equipment and whatnot. And LADCO is a part of that. What LADCO, and I touched on this just a little bit, again, just to reemphasize, we've been around since 1971. So we are over 50 years old. We're a nonprofit that was formed really by the local governments at the time and businesses who felt that it was important that our area have a strategy for attracting and retaining industrial development, economic development, so that we were not necessarily at totally at the whims of the market, but that we actually were an active participant. And we've been around for those 50 years, really trying to help play a small part in those, both the successes and then trying to deal with challenges and opportunities. Our services that we provide, I briefly mentioned our business retention and expansion visits. We basically, go and meet with these businesses, learn from them, try to help them deal with challenges, try to look for opportunities. We also do business attraction and responding to requests that primarily come through the state of Wisconsin or site selectors when they're looking for a site, whether that be a new facility, a greenfield site, or a reuse of an existing building. We try to be that matchmaker and that technical resource, as well as marketing the area. So utilizing our website, utilizing our connections with those site selectors and other property owners to try to really, highlight this area so that people will want to make those investments. And we have some other projects that we work on. We do focus on workforce development. That's the number one issue that we hear from every business in the area is the challenge of filling positions and finding good people. We're proud and we're just in about the first year of this partnership, but we're working with the ORC Industries. They have a foundation that we're helping to try to provide and more opportunities and reduce barriers for people with disabilities to get employment. And those barriers can be physical barriers, they can be program barriers, they can be all those kinds of things that might be holding someone back. And we're working with, again, a bunch of nonprofits, a bunch of businesses to see if we can help connect those people who want to work with those businesses that want to work with people with disabilities and other abilities. So just a couple of quick highlights. These are LADCO's role in all of these vary. Sometimes we're the matchmaker where we're connecting the business with a resource or with technical assistance or with location. Sometimes we're marketing and cheerleading the projects. We do nominate and try to celebrate these projects at the statewide level. There's state awards, which I know the residents there in the front and center of the slide, those residences there, they were a finalist for a statewide award, which I think that was a couple of years ago, which was great recognition for all of the work that Unalaska is doing on your riverfront and the redevelopment that's taken place there. A couple other projects. We know on the left there, the former Midwest Security Building, which was just recently announced that Quick Trip is going to be utilizing that for their corporate offices. That's a good news story. And again, focus on growing our own and providing those opportunities for those jobs, that growth to happen here in La Crosse County, happen in our local areas. So that's really exciting. And then I don't think it's made it all the way through the process yet. So I don't want to sound like I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the Xcel Energy Operations Center that's looking at developing there on the along Highway 16 as a part of that, again, just opportunity for growth and development. So those are the kinds of projects. There's also great things happening on the Highway 16 corridor with the former Shopco that is being redeveloped. There are those couple stores that are open. Several more will be opening soon. And that, I think, just highlights the fact that those are, you set the table and you create a great place to live, a great place to work, great places for recreation, and you see the types of investment that Unalaska is enjoying. And I was a little bit surprised. I had reached out to Katie Aspenson a while ago just to learn more about the project and learn that this was really a privately led development. A lot of times the municipality is asked to help out with some of these types of projects, but in this case, my understanding is it was, again, a privately led development, which is a great success story. So those are the kinds of things that we help to try to promote and market through, again, our various contacts. And the last thing that I'll leave you with here is there's an annual ranking that looks at the metropolitan areas around the United States. There's 383 metropolitan areas, of which Unalaska is part of one of those major metro areas. And back in 2010, when they started tracking this data, we were at, 237 out of that 383. Fast forward 12, 13 years later with a great work by private and public and nonprofits, we're now in the top third of those metro areas. And they use rankings for growth in jobs, real estate. There's a number of factors that they look at for their criteria as far as what they feel is a good thing. And, I think it, again, just showcases that when I started the presentation talking about the fact that public and private came together to work on strategies and to work on plans to make this not only a great place to live and work, but to invest. And I think that's an example of we see, good things happening. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions. I, again, just really appreciate your time and your support over the years. LADCO would not exist if it were not for partners like the City of Unalaska and others who help us with your leadership, your participation, your financial contributions and whatnot. So just very glad to be here.
Thank you for that, Tim. We appreciate your presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Alder Stevens?
I was glad to see some examples like the Excel building and the Quick Trip over on Midwest Drive. Could you maybe talk a little bit more about what LADCO's role in helping facilitate those are? Because
Right.
I know a lot of people don't understand LADCO and why Onalaska is involved with it. So it's a good chance to maybe edify the community.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. And our role is in these types of projects are varied depending on the needs and depending on what's going on. In the case of the former Midwest Securities Building, that is obviously a beautiful facility. There isn't a whole lot that you have to do as far as to show that is what that can be, what the vision for that property can be. What we did in this specific case is we helped to spread the word in the market, the availability of that property. So you still obviously work with real estate brokers, and there's statewide networks that those real estate brokers and others rely on to help understand what's available for properties. LADCO is there, albeit in a very small role, but trying to promote that site for future redevelopment. We also play a behind the scenes role. So when we're meeting with businesses, when we get leads for projects, those are the types of properties that we pitch to those, businesses. Now, granted, a 60,000 square foot building and the needs that are there are fairly unique. And you can only maybe think of a handful of businesses in our area that could utilize a facility like that. But LADCO is behind the scenes helping to tell that story and to try to help market that building so that it's eventually ends up, in a good situation like it is. And we're excited that Quick Trip is looking at that for offices and training and whatnot. That'll be a great fit. In the Excel property, way back in the day, and I'm dating myself a little bit, but that property just basically east of La Crosse, there were a number of conversations between Onalaska and La Crosse and the county and others to have an intergovernmental agreement for that area because of the way that water and sewer and utilities and other things are set up there. And I know LADCO over the years had pitched that area for industrial development and trying to especially utilize the water service and sewer service and that connection on Highway 16. In this particular case, we're well connected with Xcel Energy. They're one of LADCO's partners and folks that we talk with on a regular basis. When we knew that they were part of what they were looking to do is a new operations center. Again, we helped to provide with them a list of sites and ideas for where they could potentially end up. So it's exciting to see that they found a potential, and I know their final approval still have to come yet, but it looks like it will be a great fit for that particular property. We've had conversations with staff there because I know there's some zoning changes and things that have to happen, but we really tried to be a resource for both business, property owner, municipality to connect the dots so that those things ultimately end up being developed.
Thank you very much for that, Tim. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice night. Okay, item B under the mayor's report is recognition of Joe Buhager's service on the Community Development Authority. Earlier this month, I accepted the resignation from Joe. He had actually tried to resign last year, and I told him no. He had to wait until I could find someone to replace him. He was happy to hear that I'd found some candidates for his potential replacement, although I don't think anyone can actually ever replace him. Same goes with Ron Johnson. I also accepted his resignation earlier this month. So definitely want to recognize both of these gentlemen's service, not only on the CDA, but to our community. I think probably all of us have touched something that they've been involved with. They've really given a lot to this community, and I truly appreciate their service. A little emotional. I wish they would have been able to be here tonight, but I have a certificate for them that I'll be able to deliver. So then moving on to item D, I put information in the packet for the council, but I'd like to bring forward a recommendation to appoint David Zhang to the Community Development Authority at the pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve appointment of David Zhang to the CDA.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Diane Wolf. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes, to approve the appointment of David Zhang to the CDA. All those in favor, please say, discussion, sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. A quick question. First of all, thank you very much for the very nice bios on both individuals that you're bringing forth. Quick question that I have is, I think it's more of just an internal thing. I believe, Mr. Buhager and Mr. Johnson had different ending years.
Oh,
Are you
yes.
looking at, I think one ends in 25 and one ends in 26, so I don't know who you're looking.
The first one would take the term ending in 26 and Andrew would take the one ending in 25 for
So-
clerical purposes.
So that's part of my consideration for my motion. That would be taking for Mr. Zhang to do the 26.
Ending in 26. Thank you for clarifying that, Alder Wolf. Any other questions or comments?
And Your Honor, we will do this by roll call.
Okay. The motion on the floor is to approve the appointment for David Zhang and the roll call will be the vote.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Sean McAllister.
Aye.
Thank you. That appointment has been approved. Item E is the appointment of Andrew Avery Johnson to the CDA Authority with his term to be ending in 2025. I'll turn that over to the council for,
Motion to approve?
Second.
okay, motion by Alder Wolf, seconded by Leanne Stokes. Is there any discussion? Answer when your name is called.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Sean McAllister,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic.
Aye.
That appointment has been approved. Thank you very much. Now we will move on to the highlight of the evening, item F, oath of office for Jeremy Southworth to the position of Assistant Fire Chief. And with that being said, I will turn it over to our Fire Chief, Pete Floody.
Good evening, and thank you. Gotta tell you, it's nice to have another body upstairs. It's been getting lonely up there, so no, it's an honor to be standing before you tonight to introduce Onalaska's new Assistant Chief, Jeremy Southworth. AC Southworth began his Assistant Fire Chief duties as of yesterday morning on November 13th. Although I am still new to the OFD, obviously, Jeremy's made quite the impression on me in the 3 months I've known him already. It's very obvious he's very committed and dedicated to not only the department, but to the city and this community as well. Growing up in Holmen, AC Southworth began his fire career with the Holmen Fire Department as a volunteer. After 3 years with Holmen, Jeremy was hired as a firefighter with Onalaska Fire Department. And that was in 2001. He worked his way up through the ranks, achieving lieutenant in April of 2020 and now assistant fire chief in 2023. Besides working with the city of Onalaska, Jeremy has also been a fire instructor with the Western Technical College for the last 5 years. Outside of work, Jeremy enjoys spending his free time doing a variety of outdoor activities with his family. And that's my introduction. I promise you I keep it short, Mayor. Assistant Chief Southworth is joined here tonight by his wife, Vanessa, his mom, Audrey, his dad, Mike, his brother, Jason, and his stepbrother, Jason, and also from 5 hours away, Vanessa and Jeremy's son, Gavin. So very happy to introduce AC Southworth to you tonight. Congratulations, Jeremy.
Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Jeremy Southworth,
I, Jeremy Southworth,
having been appointed to
having been appointed to
the office of Assistant Chief
the office of Assistant Chief
for the Onalaska Fire Department,
for the Onalaska Fire Department,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Fun fact, Vanessa Southworth is an old school chum of mine.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and congratulations, Jeremy. Okay, we'll continue on. If you guys want to exit, we don't mind. Recommendation for approval and or possible action from the following committees, commissions, boards, and officials. All items considered under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests removal, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in the order of business in the non-consent agenda. Are there any items the councilors would like removed from the consent agenda? Not seeing anyone, I'll entertain a motion for regarding the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Here we have a motion on the floor by Dan Stevens. It's been seconded by Larry Jurassic to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The consent agenda passes unanimously. Okay, moving on. Item 7, non-consent agenda items pulled from the consent agenda. There were none, which brings us to item 8, the Finance Committee. I will turn it over to Alder Leanne Stokes.
Thank you, Mayor. The following is a list of monies expended since the last common council meeting dated October 10th, 2023, for a total of $2,843,921.22. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have an emotion on the floor by Alder Leanne Stokes. It's been seconded by Alder Sean McAllister to approve the vouchers as described. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Back to you, Leanne.
Item 8B, resolution 30-2023 to increase salaries for the common council and the mayor. And I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Leanne Stokes. It's been seconded by Alder Sean McAllister to approve resolution 30-2023. Is there any discussion? Alder Stevens?
Just want to point out for the record that this is customary. We have to do this as part of the COLA adjustment, and so we have to do this annually. It's not just kind of a cash grab by council or the mayor.
Thank you for that. I think. Any other discussion? All those in favor,
Honor.
please say
Your Honor.
aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call. please. Sorry about that. I misled you all. I'll turn it over to our city clerk for the roll.
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Sean McAllister,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Okay, the resolution passes.
I don't know.
Comedy show here. Okay, Leanne, go ahead.
Item 8C, resolution 34-2023, amended the 2023 equipment replacement budget. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Alder Leanne Stokes. It's been seconded by Alder Sean McAllister to approve resolution 34-2023. Is there any discussion? Not seeing or hearing any. Voting will be by roll call.
Sean McAllister,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Moving on to Judiciary Committee, Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under Judiciary Committee 9A, ordinance 1774 twenty twenty-three to amend section 14.01.31.a of Title 14 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Onalaska relating to temporary election signs. After speaking with both Katie and Amanda today, we three agreed it would be best for council to refer this item to the January A&J meeting for further discussion. And if Katie and or Amanda would want to weigh in further, please do so at this time with any additional information.
I would just add that both, we have not had a lot of time in the last week to dig into this as much as we like. And sometimes when we ask ourselves one question, that question turns into 5 questions or 10 questions and so on. And so this is one of those that's sort of unwinding itself into more questions and answers. And so we'd like a little bit more time to dig in and do it right.
Thank you.
Do I need to make a motion to refer to A&J? I will move that we refer item 9A to the January 2024 A&J meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf. It's been seconded by Alder Jurassic to refer ordinance 1774 twenty twenty-three to the January A&J meeting. Under discussion, Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Amanda, as far as from a legal point of view and or Katie, we don't have to worry about any federal or state candidates at this point in time, but we do have local candidates such as school board, county supervisors, and our local here in the city of Onalaska. Just want to maybe just for the record, could you kindly advise us what will be the law as of December 1st? Because we're talking about like nomination papers and such. What will be the rule, I guess?
We would, at least as far as the time period go, we would defer to the state statute, which would allow the signs as of December 1st.
As of when?
As of the date that nomination papers,
December.
yep.
Okay, thank you. And as far as number,
It would be by the ordinance still,
which is
5.
5, okay. I just thought it'd be good just to have that in the record so everyone knows. Thank you.
Okay, Alder Stevens.
I'm fine with the referral. That's, if we're going to set this up, we should set up the right way. If staff could consider, language that would, if staff could consider language that would, I think we should not limit the quantity of signs. I don't think that we should be, constraining speech. And I think that yard signs are an expression of speech. I would support language that would restrain anything that would impede or fetter pedestrian or vehicular safety, though.
Okay, thank you for that. Other discussion? Anyone else? Okay, Alder Wolf.
Yeah,
I paused just to make sure everyone else had a
Sure,
chance
sure,
before you went second. Alder Stevens, did you want to say something?
I'm Alder Stevens.
Or I mean, Alder not. I do that all the time.
That Stephen thing going on.
Yeah, understand all the free speech comments made by Alder Olson, but the other issue we do
Alder
have
Stevens?
to keep in mind is, I'm sorry, Alder Stevens.
Olson's retired.
It's contagious.
Name tag.
But we have to make sure that we don't, as we look at this over the next 2 months, make changes that would impact other sign ordinances as well. Or if we do that, we do so with open eyes. Size issues, light issues, things of that nature. There are things that do need to be considered for safety and nuisance considerations.
Thank you for that. Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. So round 2, I would, as opposed to the first request, I would ask staff to also consider bringing language forth that we would be looking at not only the, take into consideration the safety, traffic and such and sight lines, but also, I wouldn't say limit the number of signs, but also take into account what would you consider, staff consider, administration consider to be, what does the face of Onalaska look like? What have we looked like? Do we have people beating down our door out the line, a line out the door saying, we want more signage? It's my 12th year on council and I have never once had a single person call me and say, we want more signage. You know, we want, 10 signs, whatever. We want unlimited. What I do hear in my years on council is, when can these signs come down? Why are there so many? I continue to support staff for the great job that they've done through the years with cleaning up this community. If anyone remembers what it used to look like 5-8 years ago, it was littered, the right of ways. City of Onalaska looks a lot different. Our landscape looks a lot different. And I'm not looking for a utopia where everything has to be perfect and in a certain box. And I think our ordinances give a lot of leeway so people can express themselves. I don't think we're going to make everyone happy, but I would ask that staff to consider continuing the possibility, if it is deemed legal by the Gilbert ruling of the Supreme Court, to look at the possibility of thinking about attempting to possibly limit the number of signs. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alder Wolf. Is there anyone else? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to refer this ordinance to the January A&J meeting. It wouldn't have to be roll call if it's not getting passed. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those,
Aye.
all those opposed say no. That passes. So we will revisit that in the new year. Item 10, update from the community center project under the Park Rec and Library Board section. Alder Jurassic, are you covering that? Or are we going to go straight to Dan Wick? We'll go straight to Dan Wick, I guess.
I want to read Chiefs. Thank you. It was in your packet, just to kind of quick walkthrough. We did this same presentation to the park board, kind of where we're at with the community center project. We've been meeting with ISG every 2 weeks, city staff, city administrator Niemeyer, attorney Jackson, myself, a couple other park and rec staff, city engineer, Kevin Schubert has also been on our side, and then ISG is bringing in a number of different staff, but kind of the site layout that you see up on the screen there, kind of to the south of the picture would be Quincy Street, 6th Avenue North, showing more of the site. We'd add additional parking, would be on the east side of 6th, shows a couple storm retention areas that we have kind of layout there. If we had additional parking, we could look at expanding additional parking up to the Lions Club shelter, which is just to the north of that area, as we look at adding that for that space of the facility. Amanda, can we go to the next? Kind of getting to the next photo or the next page of the document. This is kind of looking at the core of the community center. You would kind of enter off of 6th Avenue. There'd be a small vestibule. There we would have a small office as we're looking at that could be utilized, senior meals, could be utilized for park and rec staff when we're running activities and things that they would have in there. You'd enter through the hallway. The main meeting space would accommodate roughly 192 people there with 8-foot tables. Continue down the hallway, then you would get to a smaller a small meeting room that we could utilize for programs, or you could actually have 2 events going on. That the second additional location would open directly into the gym. So if you had different activities that you wanted to do, they could access that. Then you'd go up, we have a mechanical room and then the restroom facilities. We do have one family changing room. We also have one family changing room that would be accessed strictly from the outside. So when we're running programs and things, we could have that available. They wouldn't get into the facility. So if a door got left open or something, that would be the only space that they would have and get to into the facility. And then towards the top of the large multi-purpose room, we do have a small kitchen area. We have a small pantry. That pantry area was kind of developed in our meetings with the county nutrition program, kind of what they need for the facility and what they're currently using in our facility. And then again, storage. We tried to focus on having a distinct storage area for each of the spaces that we have. So that we could, you know, with tables and chairs and things that we need could be easily accessible to each of the different areas. And then we, down to the south side is you get to the gymnasium. There, you'd kind of enter, we do have three, you know, planning for a 3-row high bleachers that would be up against that wall. And then we would have the courts a little bit offset, but there would be seating and things for people, wet shoes and things wouldn't be trampling across the court. It would be right there. If you go to the next slide down, you know, that picture right there looks very crazy. That actually is 3 basketball courts, 3 pickleball courts, and 3 volleyball courts. They'll all be lined differently, different colors. But if you go that, you know, with the packet that you had, it shows how they would lay out the basketball courts, volleyball and pickleball courts would be laid out on that site. I don't know if there's any additional questions. This is really the layout. We started meeting this week with ISG. We met and discussed more looking at flooring options. So we're kind of starting to look at the interior, you know, where that stuff is going as we're working through this process.
Okay, thank you for that. Dan Wick, is there any questions or comments? Alder Jurassic?
Yeah, Dan, is there gonna be a doorway limiting access in for people that are activities outside?
So from where, I mean,
It'd be right by the bathrooms there,
Yep.
the beginning of the hallway there.
yes, there is to kind of to the north or looking up. Yes, there would be access there. We're really looking at that access point. When the county nutrition site comes and brings, they don't prep a lot of food at the site. They're bringing food so that they would have a door right there that could get to them right adjacent to the kitchen.
No, I'm saying limiting people from coming from the outside in if you don't have anything, activities going on the rest.
Well,
of the
yeah, I mean, we would have those doors locked and things, but I guess I'm not following you, Larry. What's your ask question?
Parallel with the kitchen door, the kitchen wall.
Yep.
Go straight out from there into the hallway. Is that
Yep.
gonna be a doorway at all?
Yes, there'll be doorways so that we can restrict the hallway areas.
All right.
Okay, I have a question, Dan. So on the gymnasium portion, will
Correct.
there be an opening there, like say the garage door type thing? If you were to want to move a large item into that gym for whatever reason, like say the inflatables, I
Yep.
don't know that you would do that, but
Yep.
like, are you gonna plan to have a bigger access point? Cause it seems like that's something that comes up too.
Yeah, I think what we would look at there would be double doors that could take the middle post out that you could get something in. But that is a good question that we haven't gotten to those fine details, but it's good something that we have in our notes that we can look at. To, you know, if we needed to get tool cast or something in there to haul something that we could.
Or a stage even, you
Yep.
could back a truck in. Okay, any other comments? Leanne Stokes?
Yes, thank you. Dan, what is the goal and where are the people that normally eat there during this whole process? Where are they going? Have you?
We're still working on that process. I think we have a few different options. We really don't have a timetable set yet. So we haven't defined exactly where they're going, what's happening during that time. We know that they will be displaced, but we have a few options that is out there that we could potentially move them to.
Okay.
But we just need to fine tune that schedule so we don't get people nervous like, okay, where or when, this is kind of a fluid document at this point in time. So once we get that kind of solidified, then we can start making more concrete decisions.
Thank you.
Yep, okay, Alder Wolf?
Thank you, Your Honor. So Dan, quick question. So regarding who you're speaking with at the La Crosse County Nutrition site, are you talking with Dawn or
Yes,
Carissa?
we're talking to Dawn. We met
are
with,
perfect. Perfect.
we brought her in and met with ISG. We've been up there and we've talked to some of the different seniors, a few times, just, what their needs are, what they want. And so we're
Great.
trying to make that, a big emphasis for us.
Because I know when I talked with Dawn about a year ago, when we kind of first started talking about this, she was very passionate about it. She had these really wonderful ideas. So I'm really happy about that. I'll give
Yep.
her a call this week, but yeah, she's been really great. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Alder Jurassic?
Yeah, Dan, one thing that you're gonna add to your list is I talked to the pastor, River Life. He said they would be open to the lunch
Okay.
situation, and they got a large enough room that'll support anything that they have over there.
That's good. That's great.
They
I mean,
got
I think,
parking lot too, so.
I think we'd have many community partners that, could reach out, in this time and we have some of our facilities that I think potentially could host them also. So that's what we'll look at as we get closer, but that's what we have to try to finalize this schedule as we move forward.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you, Dan, for your update, and we'll look forward to following this project as it develops. Item 11, the planning director report. I will turn it over to Katie Aspenson.
Thank you, Mary. Included in your packet is a preliminary resolution to vacate and discontinue the remaining portion of Overhill Drive located in the city of Onalaska. It is an unimproved roadway, and we have had a request to vacate and discontinue this from the abutting neighbor, the Eagle Storage Facility. Thank you.
Thank you. It is the pleasure of the committee.
Motion to approve resolution 29-2023.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Diane Wolf. It's been seconded by Alder Leanne Stokes to approve resolution 29-2023. Is there any discussion? Okay, motion on the floor is to approve the resolution. Please answer when your name is called.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Sean McAllister,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic.
Aye.
Okay, the resolution is approved. Thank you. Thank you, Katie, for bringing that forward for us. Item 12, Alderperson Larry Jurassic and Alderperson Sean McAllister. Discussion regarding City of Onalaska ordinance prohibiting storage containers. Which one of you gentlemen?
I think
Okay,
it's Ulster person, Sean McKell.
Ulster person. That's why Larry is going first.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep.
Ulster
person.
Oh.
On the budget, there was a item for storage facility to be utilized by the police department and Park and Rec for $1.1 million. I felt that was extremely high and unneeded. I further found out that the options of using cargo containers within city limits was not allowed. And further staff went ahead and sent me a copy of the current ordinance and the way it states. I've handed out sheets to everybody, and that first sheet basically says exactly what it is right now. The amendments I'd like to make to it are the second sheet. Basically, an ordinance that would apply to storage pods and shipping containers does not apply to permanent structures. Two, that storage units shall be used for cold storage. And on the original one, it had dead storage. I don't know what the difference was. Storage units should not be used.
Larry, excuse me, can you speak into your microphone? I'm having trouble following what you're saying.
Okay, sorry, Mark. Individual storage units should be used for cold storage only. Storage units should not be used for retail, commercial, human habitation, office space, warehouse, studios, hobby or rehearsal areas, manufacturing, processing of goods, or repairs of auto equipment. Auction, garage, and real estate are prohibited. Storage of flammable hazard material will be also prohibited, just the same way as the original. Entrance to the facility, or the entire facility shall be secured by either walls, structures, or fencing, subject to screening standards of Chapter 3, Division 5. Basically the same thing it says in the original ordinance. The location of the storage units and all supporting areas, loading, driveways, parking areas must be paved with asphalt or concrete. Reason why we added that is because there was some complaint about possible contamination. So by having asphalt and concrete, that would eliminate that. All the units must be located in a zone light industrial or higher or on city property. This would eliminate the complaints I heard about, well, people in the neighborhood could use it. Well, if it's not zoned for light industrial or higher, then they cannot do that. But they can utilize city property. Shipping containers may be used in residential areas, but only to exceed 72 hours. So as, some of these shipping units can be brought in, loaded up with equipment, whatever, but only has to be moved out within 72 hours. A long-term unit must indicate ownership by point of contact. So a label, name or something on the container saying who has ownership of that in case there is whatever, fire or whatever damage to it, that when the police get there, they can know exactly who to contact. And number 9 is mini storage units adjacent to residential properties. This is the same thing as the original. And same thing with 10. 10 is also a copy of the original document. But the last page there is I contacted several people in the area that do sell these type of storage units. They come in both 20 and 40-foot lengths. For 6 20-foot containers. Now, these containers would be new or one-time use. They would be able to sell those to us for a total of, and storage setup, excuse me, for a total of 29,700. If the council goes ahead and makes these changes, I'd like to ask for a budget change to allow the city to go ahead and purchase, set aside money for $30,000 to cover the purchase of 6 of these units, 2 for the police, 2 for the excuse me, 2 for the city street department, and then 2 for Park and Rec. That's my recommendation right now.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay, Stephen? Stephen Knott.
Yeah, one is just a happy glad, but when Larry was reading right off the bat from F2, he referred to it as cold storage. It's actually in the ordinance as dead storage, which is the correct labeling. Cold storage would be refrigerated units. This is just for, dead storage or furniture files, unused items, things of that nature, normally what dead storage is considered. But second is, if we're going to talk about $30,000, I always ask this question, know what's coming, is where are we going to get it from?
Okay, thank you. Amanda Jackson.
I would just like to note for the record that staff is opposed to this suggested ordinance change for a multitude of reasons. And I'm going to turn it over to Katie Aspenson to highlight some of those.
Thank you, Mayor. So included in your packet is a memo that I drafted giving a history of how the city has regulated the use of storage containers and pods and semi-truck trailers in the past. Essentially, these devices are considered transportation devices. They're meant to load cargo from one area and bring it to a next. They're generally not well insulated, or do they have proper venting and cooling systems? And they can become very easily contaminated. I did acknowledge that. Thank you for putting in there that they would be placed on a concrete in order to prevent any sort of leaching. But many of these storage containers are often covered in pesticides to keep vermin out of them and other toxins. And I do not believe that it would be a good investment for storage of our city materials and goods on a long-term basis. It's not something that we let occur in our city today, and I do not believe it's the correct choice for the city to continue to do in the future. We truly try to promote that we should all be investing in long-term structures that meet our state and city building codes. And these types of units are not structures. Again, they are transportation devices. The UDC is meant to regulate for the entire city and not create exceptions to the rule. and that we should be a leader in our community. And if we only allow ourselves the exception, we lose our standing to prohibit the use of these containers for businesses and residents. So as Amanda noted, I strongly recommend against any changes to our current language regulating storage facilities and containers in Onalaska.
And I would just add to what Katie said, that while I appreciate that Alder Jurassic has proposed that they be in light industrial and only on city property, not all of our city property is consistently zoned, but also most of our city property is located in residential neighborhoods. And so we would be bringing these transportation cargo boxes into residential neighborhoods where they would be seen by our citizens and members. And so just food for thought on that as well.
Thank you for that, staff. Is there further discussion? We'll go to Sabrina Seeger first, and then we'll go to Dan Stevens for that.
Thank you. And then I would also like to, when there's a chance.
Sure.
To answer Aldernot's question, my recommendation would be if this is something that we are going to go forth with, that it would come out of 2023's budget, since we just passed our 2024 budget. This item does seem more like a capital or an equipment replacement type item. Not that I support or am opposed to it whatsoever, just wanted to give you the financial information.
Thank you for that. Okay, we're working on people speaking for their first time. So Alder Stevens.
Sure. First, I think we should applaud Larry for thinking outside the box, I guess, while thinking about a box, but my understanding, I've actually looked through the city in the past for industrial zone land to maybe develop some cold storage units, and I don't think that they exist. I mean, we really don't have a lot of industrial space available, and I can't imagine that even in some other zones where it gets kind of mixed, that residents, I can see the mobs coming out with their torches and pitchforks, not wanting storage containers where they can see them. They're not sightly. But I think it's a great idea because at least in concept, municipalities and other governmental organizations, I think when it comes to building something, it seems like we always pay a lot more than what others would pay on the open market. I know there's warranties on there, and I think contractors see, government, and then it automatically adds a bunch to the price. So looking for different ways to address storage issues, and I mean, this is relatively cost effective. So I see the good in that. I just don't know where we would put that in our fair city. But I do like the idea of looking for alternative solutions to meeting those needs, because if we were to stick build a storage unit, I mean, what was the cost on that? 1.1 million versus 29,000. I mean, the things are unsightly, but I just think that we can find some other solution that where we can put something on city property that our residents can live with, but maybe it doesn't cost, 7 figures.
Okay, thank you, Alder Stevens. Stephen Knott, you're up next.
Yeah, new ideas are always worth hearing. The main concern I have with this right now is, and maybe it's an incorrect impression, but my impression is that we've kind of determined that this is like an emergency, because it seems like we're operating outside of the normal staffing and committee process. If this is a amendment to a ordinance, this normally would go through staffing process, and then the committee members on A and J would discuss and recommend to the Common Council, and then we'd have more information, and we wouldn't be reacting the way we are right now. Am I interpreting this incorrectly?
Stephen, I think what happened was that Alder Jurassic had the idea that he wanted to bring before the council to see if it warranted routing it. I mean, it would still have to go back around through A and J and come up through. But if the council already doesn't support it, then there's no sense in going through that. So I think you just correct me if I'm wrong. This is just testing the waters here with this.
I tried to get it through A and J, and they said it wasn't already too late. for the time period. So they said council's the only option we had.
Okay, you can be next, Leanne. Stephen, Stephen, are you done?
Well, if the intent was to get it through A&J, but it was a time issue, I don't personally see why I can't wait another month. But that's just me.
Okay, Amanda Jackson?
I just want to clarify sort of, Stephen, what I think the mayor had said is sort of what's being asked of you tonight. Is this even something you want to pursue? And so we're not going to draft the ordinance if this is something that council doesn't have the will to support, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Leanne Stokes?
Yes, I agree with, the comments of, Alder Stevens. I don't like the idea of putting this in any residential areas. I don't think that our residents would be happy with that. And since the zoning is such that we don't have a lot of spaces that we could use, then I would not think that this is an idea that we should pursue right now. I don't know if I want to take it back through the channels. I just think that if we used something other than this type of a facility. And the other thing that I have a problem with is that we're then saying that the city can have it, but nobody else can have it. And then you're going to run into people that are going to be coming in and they're going to be saying, well, but why can't we? And then you have all of that. So I don't think I would be willing to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean McAllister, did you want to say something?
I get that at this point, hearing everybody's take on it, I think I would maybe suggest if we do want to look into it, we take it to the committee level and see if there is support at that point. If that makes sense.
Well, I think that's where we're deciding.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would at that point.
Alder Wolf, did you want to comment anymore? Okay. Any other, it's a discussion. So Alder Jurassic?
Yeah, one of the things that I went forward on this was talking with the chief of police and this problem they're having with storage. They have a vehicle there that could be there for a year or even more. And it's basically taken up a lot of their storage areas. This container would fit a vehicle inside it with no problem. Security on it is you can have up to 5 locks on each door. They are built that way.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so Amanda?
Kudos to Alder Jurassic for bringing this idea forward. We have in the meantime also been looking at other options for storage. I mean, right now, to address Steve Knott, I don't believe we're in an emergency situation where we need storage today. Nor do I believe we gave input as to what departments would want storage units, or I'm not sure where the 2 and 2 and 2 came from. But we are looking at other options. We have looked into what it would take to purchase a condo. We have reached out to the people that own the condominiums, storage condominiums next to Public Works, simply due to their location. We've also looked at what it would take to rent storage. So for instance, in that case where maybe we have a vehicle and we need to store it as evidence, that's typically has an end date, right? We don't need to keep the car indefinitely, but maybe we need to store it for a year. We've also looked at our options as far as renting storage goes and what that will cost us. It's about $1,200 a year to rent a small storage facility. And so that would likely be one option. We would have some security concerns with that. We would like to ultimately purchase something, but also going back to, there's a lot of options between this and building our own building. And so we could purchase a facility. We've tried that in the past. And so we could also keep our eye on the commercial market and look for a facility that we could purchase and add to, our city property. And so I think that as we consider this, I don't know that there's just one option available.
Thank you for that. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, is there going to be any action? Okay, we'll go on then to item 13, Alderperson Leanne Stokes, report on 2 ride-alongs.
Yes, I just wanted to spend just a few minutes. I had done a ride along with Brad Newmeister from the Inspections Department, which I found really interesting. The sites, the construction sites that we went to were from just starting to maybe halfway done to maybe close to being done. And you could watch the transformation of it, and it's fascinating just to see all the things that a contractor needs to do in order to build a building. And then also the different times that the inspectors have to go out, I think at least 3 times, if not more, just to check on the buildings, see what's going on with it. But the people that Brad has had contact with seem to be really willing to develop within the city of Onalaska. And I think a lot of that has to do with how we approach these people, how we work with them. We don't make them sit and wait for somebody to come. We have a schedule, and so I think that it's I give kudos to the planning department, because I think that they're doing a really good job with a very limited staff up there. So I encourage you to, maybe just talk to Brad about doing a ride along, because it is truly interesting. The other one was a 3rd shift ride along with Officer Trevor Carlson. And I've done 1st shift and 2nd shift, and I've done it with a very experienced person that's been 20 some years. I've done it with somebody that maybe has a year or 2, and Trevor has about 7 or 8 years. So you can see the difference in how they approach things. We went on roads that I didn't even know were in the city of Onalaska. And it was dark, so you have no land, you can't tell exactly where you are, but he obviously knew exactly where he was. And so he was, I thought that it was just really interesting. I only lasted 3 hours of the shift, but I did enjoy it. And I again encourage people to do this, because I think you get a chance to talk with the officers, and they can tell you things that are, going on, or they can tell you, this is how we handle things. So I totally enjoyed it. So I just wanted to do a small presentation on it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Leanne. I'll say you also get to meet people in the community that you don't normally meet otherwise.
Mhm.
Was at Walmart after midnight?
Mhm.
Item 14, City Administrator Report. Turn it over to you, City Administrator Niemeyer.
Thank you. Just have a couple updates for the council of things that have happened. Excuse me, since the last meeting. I think as most of you know, we had our first, sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Our first annual Staff Success Day last Friday, where we had the staff, we closed down City Hall and had staff come out to the Omni Center for some training as well as some recognition. We had some speakers in regards to WRS retirement, which proved to be quite popular from the sounds of the feedback afterwards. Another speaker regarding a harassment-free workplace. Another one on networking tools in the workplace and other settings. And then also some diversity, equity, and inclusion information regarding workplace and outside the workplace as well. So those were some of the speakers, and then we had provided food and had other fun things for the staff throughout the day. I thought it went really well. One of the things that we kind of even essentially kicked off last Friday was our strategic planning process. You've heard about that. I think 2 council meetings ago, Charlotte and Heather came and gave a presentation and offered their assistance through that process. They came also on Friday to kind of kick this off with a survey for staff to take. We think it's very important that staff are involved in this process along with obviously the council, the mayor and administration, but the staff, their input is very important. So they took the first survey that's going to get this started, and that will take that information and utilize that. We'll get official meetings and workplace groups or work groups together in January to get that moving along even further. Throughout the process as well, too, we will have the staff involved. There will be one individual from each department that's not a department head that will be a part of this group as well, that will be meeting and providing input and hopefully taking information back to the department and getting feedback from them as well. Sorry. You may recall too, last year, maybe it was earlier this year, a number of staff from the city took or participated in what we call the BAM Institute, Belonging and Matter Institute. So we have kind of round two, so to speak. We have, I think, 8 to 10 people participating in this next round. It's a month, it meets once a month, first Wednesday, I believe it is, at the Y in La Crosse, and goes through different items, but primarily in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion as well too, as well as some other things, both in the workplace and out. So those are some of the kind of the main things that have been going on since the last time we met. I did a ride along as well too with one of the police officers, Trevor, and it was a second shift and it was, yeah, very enlightening. So I also would like to do the other shifts as well too, just to see what it's all about amongst other things. I was told to try out the snow removal as well too, that can be a little eye-opening as well. So
Oh, it's fun.
so we'll try that.
4 a.m.
4 a.m. Okay, all right. So, but anyway, those are just a couple of the things to update from the last time we met. So
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to item 15, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alder Wolf. It's been seconded by Alder Stokes to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? We are adjourned. The time is 8:11.